Hi, this is Jeremy.
And this is Becky. We're kind of epic.
Today we're taking a look at something a little different from what we normally do. This is LightVR, which is a virtual reality desktop, I guess, would be the best way to describe it. Basically, it takes your Windows desktop and places it into a window within VR. And then you have an environment around the video, the
screen, the windows,
where you can set up props. You can add new windows outside of the Windows desktop, which is kind of confusing sounding, but
that's like having multiple tabs open or multiple windows
open. And it's basically a web browser. I think it's just using Chrome or something, because I noticed there was a little message saying your version of Chrome is out of date. And looking at the video on screen of our recording, I can see that it's showing a very wide angle. The screen and everything is much closer when you're in VR. And looking at what we're seeing right now, they've added a thing where if you look down, you can see your hands. So you can see your keyboard if you're playing a game or something, or I guess even if you're typing and you've lost your hands where they are on the keyboard.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a hard time with that. So I'm going to actually let Jeremy talk about this mostly because I had a really tough time with this. I couldn't get the windows to stay in the right spot where I wanted them to. It was disorienting for me to look down and see, because the keyboard and everything was slightly bigger than it really is. So it made everything slightly off for me. And I'm also a sight typist. I type really fast, but I am a sight typist. I've never taken a typing class in my life. So when I realized I couldn't look at the keyboard correctly, it made my brain mess up and I couldn't type at all anymore. And I started to feel like a idiot. And I was like, I can't take this anymore. So between not being able to get the controls really in my head, and the sight typing and stuff, I didn't play with this thing very long, like 5 minutes. But Jeremy did a long time, so he has a lot more to say about it than me.
Yeah, I spent probably a good 30 or 40 minutes in total trying to redo recordings of this because I kept messing up stuff. And so this final one I spent about 20 minutes just getting some good material to look at while we're talking. And so, yeah, I mean, I felt fairly comfortable within the environment. I can type without looking at the keyboard for the most part. There's, like if I need to do Alt F1 or I don't know, some weird combination then where you have to kind of stretch your hands to reach keys, then I oftentimes have to look at the keyboard, but for the most part I can type just fine without looking, so that didn't bother me at all.
He also got a hang of the controls a lot faster than I did.
Yeah, you can see, so you obviously can use your keyboard and mouse just like normal, but you can also use the Vive controller to move things around in the environment, like I was moving the windows around and scaling them up and down and placing new ones in different places around the environment. And so you have to use the controller for that, the Vive controller, because the keyboard and mouse obviously are stuck within the Windows environment inside that one window. Yo dog, we heard you like Windows.
I just saw you open up the controller to create different objects in the room besides Windows too. So.
Right, yeah. So if you double click on the menu button, you can
on the Vive controller.
On the Vive controller, on the menu button, yeah, you can bring in new windows, which are just those little Chrome windows. And you can bring in objects. So I brought this desk in because I wanted to have a virtual desk where my desk was, so it kind of felt like I was touching the keyboard on the same place in VR. You can change the backgrounds, so you can change them to, like, if you have your own panoramic picture or 360 picture that you've taken with your phone's camera. You can use those. They have some 3D environments, some stone floors and things with just black backgrounds. There's a few objects that they have: umbrellas, fans, chairs, tables, if you want to decorate. They also have one room example, so it's a 3D room. I think we saw it here earlier, but I don't remember. Where it's just basically a room and you can twist it and scale it all around yourself. So if you want to have a fireplace or something, nice rainy window outside or something.
Oh yeah, because we totally need that.
Yeah, being in Seattle. But yeah, it's an interesting concept, and there are a few others out there similar to this. This one's pretty lightweight, and works pretty well. It loads pretty fast. I even tested playing some games, as you can see here in the background. I loaded up Atlas Reactor, which is I think it's in beta right now, or they're going to have an open beta soon. We played it at PAX, and so I got a key for it, and I was kind of playing around with it. It's a fairly lightweight game, though, not very graphically intensive or anything, so it played just fine. I also loaded up Broforce, which is also a very lightweight game. That played just fine. Then I tried loading Evolve Stage 2, and that's a very intensive 3D first-person shooter, and my rig just cannot handle it. I've got a pretty decent, it's a 6th generation Core i7, and but I think it's the video card, the GTX 970, that just can't keep up with it. So if and when we get a new video card, I'm sure that'll help quite a bit. So I'll have to try it again then.
I know that Jeremy has been looking for this type of thing, so he was really excited to try it, and I think that you enjoyed the way this works.
Yeah, for the most part, like I said, it's pretty lightweight and pretty fluid, or it works pretty well. Mm-hmm. The one thing, and this is not anything wrong with the software itself, it's just a limitation of the hardware right now. With the Vive and even the Rift and the PS4, the PSVR, is the lower resolution. So it makes reading text kind of difficult. What I ended up doing and trying, which worked pretty well, was Windows 10 has an option to scale up the UI. And I loaded it up to 125% before I started up the LightVR desktop. And it was much, much better. It was so much easier to read the text and most everything. Now, not everything scales correctly. Even the Steam window here, you can kind of see the text is a little fuzzy. I think it's just the newer Windows way that it renders text and everything. So if an application uses that newer implementation, then it works a lot better. It scales up really well and is crisp and clean, even in the VR windows. So if you do check this out, I definitely recommend bumping up the scale, which is just in the display settings. There's just a slider bar, really simple, easy to do. You might need to reboot, but after you do it, just because some applications can't scale on the fly, so you have to restart to allow them to take effect.
That's really good, though, because I couldn't read anything when we first started playing with this. Right. I couldn't read anything. Yeah, and which is one of the reasons why I also got frustrated with it. So
yeah, I was gonna say, and the first few times that I tried recording some, and Becky tried it too, I had not implemented the Windows scaling, and it didn't occur to me until later, and which is another reason that I did this most recent video. was to try that out, because I was thinking, we have the Steam box hooked up to the TV, and it's just a Windows PC, and it's Windows 10, and I noticed that the UI seemed bigger, and I was like, why is it so much bigger than on my desktop on the computer screen? And I was like, oh wait, they're scaling the UI because they know it's hooked up to a TV, and you're sitting 6 or 8 or 10 feet away from it. So they scale up the UI to make it more legible. I was like, wait a minute. I've got an idea.
Well, that's really good. Yeah, I'm glad that worked. You should send them a note.
Yeah.
Then they can maybe add a note about that.
As a suggestion.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
So.
But yeah, overall, it's a really interesting concept. Working in VR isn't too bad. It takes some getting used to, for sure. And, the Vive headset's a little heavy, and it gets warm. So it's not necessarily the most comfortable experience, but it's interesting and worth checking out.
Definitely makes you feel like you're in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Johnny Mnemonic, or what's the Minority Report or something. So yeah, it makes you feel kind of cool, at least. So yeah, I definitely recommend checking it out. I think it's going into open beta right now, or maybe it's available in early access. I think it's early access
next week.
Yeah. And I think it's relatively inexpensive, like $6 or $7. So it's definitely worth checking out. Maybe, I don't know if it's for me or not, but maybe it's for you, and it's probably at the right price point. So check it out.
Have you tried LightVR? What do you think?
If you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe and hit the like button. If you didn't like it, let us know in the comments below.
Also, let us know if there's a Vive title you would like to see us review.
And we will see you on the next one.
Bye!